Despite not being the first middie to be released, the Toyota MR2 stole the whole show. This badass car from Japan was simply incredible. Although it was quite small, it was a favorite among drivers. It was fast and reliable, and the engine roared when you turned it on. Soon enough, it was competing with some of the best exotic cars in the world, alongside Supra and Celica, and it helped Toyota establish a good reputation for performance. A few decades later, Toyota took everyone by stopping the production of the vehicle. Now, all we're left with are the memories of the good old days. In this video, you'll find out the details about this amazing Japanese car. It all started in 1976, when Toyota launched a project to make a car that would be enjoyable to drive, reliable, and won't cost much. Due to the fuel crisis, the car would also have a good fuel economy. After several years of tossing out different designs, in 1979, Akio Yoshida came up with something different. He suggested that the engine be placed behind the driver to make it more aerodynamic and improve the vehicle's weight balance. Knowing that his idea was genius, they began working on the vehicle, and in 1981, the prototype SAX came to life. The prototype was good, but Toyota wanted it to be perfect, so several tweaks were made. The help of Lotus engineer Roger Becker was implored, and he helped the company tweak the suspension and handling design of the vehicle. Dan Gurney, the Formula One race driver, also chipped in his ideas and even test drove it on the highway. By the time they were done, the car had evolved into a sports car. In 1983, Toyota debuted its SV3 concept car at the Tokyo Motor Show. The vehicle was widely accepted, and many couldn't wait for the production model to be launched. Then, in 1984, the car was launched in Japan under the name MR2, which stands for Midship Runabout Two-Seater, and this became the first ever Japanese rear mid-engined production car. This first model of the car was an instant favorite, and even won the Car of the Year Japan at introduction in 1984, despite stiff competition from the CRX and Nissan Laurel. It's not surprising, as this car was very close to perfect. The car was powered by the world's first production twin-cam 16-valve engine, the 4AGE. This engine is a legend. It hit the red line at 7,400 RPM. This engine didn't just make any sound, it roared and ripped. It could also go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in the mid to high 8-second range and reach a quarter mile in the mid to high 16-second range, which was significantly faster than the Fiat X1/9 or Pontiac Fiero. The car was also equipped with disc brakes at every wheel, which was a design way advanced for the early 80s. Since the engine was placed in a different position, it was important to save up space, and that was why it came with a simple McPherson strut suspension. Although the suspension was made for less sophisticated handling, the handling was good enough to make drivers extremely happy while driving, as the vehicle was light, weighing about 977 pounds. For the exterior design, it took a few Lotus design cues for the body, but what made the car stand out was its pop-up headlights. But the interior was quite basic, having 2 seaters and very little cubic space. The sales of the car went through the roof, and Toyota was encouraged to make several upgrades to the model. So, in 1986, the vehicle got a supercharged 4A GZE engine that produced a whopping 145 horsepower. This allowed the car to go from 0 to 60 in just 6.5 seconds, making it faster than its elder brother, Supra, and almost as fast as the Ferrari 328. This supercharger also came with a feature that allowed it to be disengaged when gas needed to be saved. This feature made the owners of the MR2 thrilled, as they could turn it on to feel the raw driving thrill of exotic cars like Ferrari and turn it off when they needed to save cost. Besides the supercharger, it could also be bought with T-tops, which made the vehicle very cool. And the best part was that the car cost relatively less than most cars that came with all these features. Thrilled by the performance of the car on the road, the company decided to see how well it will perform off the road. So they made an MR2 rally car called the 222D. There was high expectation for this vehicle, as it allegedly made over 600 horsepower, but unfortunately the class it was made for, Group S, got scrapped alongside the class filled with badass rally cars, Group B, so it couldn't perform and Toyota moved on to the next project. In 1989, the MR2 got redesigned, leading to the launching of a second generation called MR2 SW20. As expected, the model was made better than the first generation, and this is because Chief Engineer Kazutoshi Arima ensured that everything the first generation lacked was made available in the second. So, this vehicle was made larger than its predecessor, weighing about 400 pounds more. This is because the car came with a more spacious and luxurious interior, a more durable suspension set, a sturdier transaxle, and larger engine sizes. The engine was no ordinary engine. It was a turbo engine that gave off 200 horsepower, and it was only available with a manual transmission. This generation is easily the best of the three generations of this vehicle, as it could compete well against Supra, Ferrari 348, and the NSX. It even got called Baby Ferrari, or Poor Man's Ferrari, due to how similar it was to the Ferrari 308, GTB/GTS, and Ferrari 348. It was also produced for 10 years, and the only major change it got was its suspension when the initial one made the car's handling too extreme for regular drivers. Another notable thing about this vehicle was that it got some special variants. To pay homage to the 2000 GT wins in the GTC Japanese Racing Series, an official body kit and tuning package was made available for the vehicle by Toyota Racing Development. Customers could order the package with whatever engine and suspension upgrades they wanted, and it was even said that some were made to produce 500 horsepower. Isn't that incredible? Another variant is Tom's T020. Besides Toyota Racing Development, Tom's also released official body kits and several tuning packages for the MR2. The T020 variant could produce 235 horsepower at 6,800 RPM and had a more race-oriented suspension and chassis, thereby giving it a sportier look. We can't talk about the second generation MR2 without mentioning the SW20 Spider. This variant was made between 1996 and 99 by Toyota Technocraft, or TTC, and only 91 units were made. These cars had a retractable cloth soft-top roof, a unique engine lid, and a wingless trunk lid. Most were automatics, and almost all of them had a naturally aspirated engine. Most of the Spiders came in Lucerne silver with blue side designs, and the car seats were in black and blue. Despite the car being luxurious, Toyota didn't put its logo or name on it because it didn't want to be associated with cars that had leaky roofs. The second generation's performance was more than enough to convince Toyota to make a third generation, but this time around, they decided to take a totally different approach. This generation was launched in 1999, and it had several names. In Japan, it was called the Toyota MRS and Toyota MR2 Roadster in Europe, except in France and Belgium, where it was known as MR Roadster. Then in the US, it was known as MR2 Spider. The most notable change was that it became a convertible, and unlike its predecessors, the engine, which is a 1.8-liter inline-4 engine, was placed the other way around, with its exhaust manifold towards the rear, not the front. It also gave off a maximum power of 138 horsepower, which was a huge drop from its predecessor. But what this car lacked in power, it completely gave in handling, as it was so light that the car could move quite quickly. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.8 to 8.7 seconds, depending on the transmission. This car was compared to the Porsche Boxster and was even named the best handling car you could buy by several journalists. But despite all the hype about the driving experience being incredible, many drivers preferred the SW20 and didn't find the new model impressive. Toyota tried to convince customers that the new MR2 was better by making it quite cheap and also making it possible for the engine to be swapped for other high-performance 4-cylinder or even 6-cylinder engines. But many people were not impressed, and sales declined seriously. In 2007, Toyota found no reason to continue the MR2, and the project was called off. Now, there are rumors that Toyota intends to bring back this incredible mid-engined car as a hybrid. In 2021, Toyota showed an alleged electric midship sports car concept, which is very similar to the MR2. According to the claims, the hybrid middie will be a triple collaboration between Toyota, Suzuki, and Daihatsu. It is said that Toyota will supply a chassis similar to that of the Yaris, while Suzuki will provide a 1-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that is currently found in Swift. Then, Daihatsu will contribute its panel swapping technology found on its Copen Roadster. All these sound incredible if the rumors turn out to be true, but one thing is for sure, it can't ever replace the position the MR2 holds in the hearts of many.